Hello and welcome to Start Your Dungeons. I'm Bryce.
I'm Adam.
And today we're going to be talking about another themed episode. We did our Halloween episode and everyone seemed to really like our ideas for that. So this time we wanted to do a holiday themed episode. So talking about a couple of different games. I think we've got three kind of different categories talking about. We've got some games you can play like with your family, immediate family. We've also got some games that I brought that are more for like parties and things you're going to. And then some RPGs for the holidays. So a couple of different varieties for what we have, but we just wanted to kind of get this out there and, give you some ideas if you are looking for something to do with the holidays with your family. So, I don't want you to start. What's some games that you have to play with your family that you always bring out?
So, one that is newer to the table, and I know that there is a Halloween themed version, but if you are, if you have like maybe one other game friendly family member or friend that you're spending the holidays with, Boop is excellent.
It's very, very good.
It's so simple. It takes you a couple of minutes to learn it, and it's just about kittens and cats trying to knock each other off of the bed.
Right. It's super cute. It's a really good design game for the price, and I think what's nice about it is it plays so quick that if you had a group who wanted to all play it, you could kind of play it pretty quickly. And it's just adorable looking, like as a family game. I think it's a really fun kind of different one.
Yeah, just definitely lighter fare than what we usually show on this channel, but it's a lot of fun.
So I brought one of my 2 to 6 player and one that I bring almost anywhere, which is Tinder Blocks, which is a super cute game where basically you're building a fire, and the way you build that fire is you have cards that you flip over that will tell you how to design the pieces that you're trying to put on the actual fire. The whole problem is you have to do it with tweezers. So it's a little bit difficult. It is super fun, though, if you have kids, because it's basically like, and I think you've said this before, reverse Jenga, where you're trying to build the tower instead and not have it fall. It's a super cute, kind of quick game. It is really small, too, which I really like. It's easy to bring around. It says 3 to 15 minutes. We've done this in like 3 minutes, and then me and Adam have always had like hand shaking, sweaty, like tight, clenched, like, trying to do this, and it's a fun one. I think if you're really looking for something a little bit more casual to like Boop, this is a really good one to kind of give you some variety and options that is good for any age, because you really can play it with young kids. I think young kids would still find it fun.
I always pull out Roll for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, any family function, every time the family goes on vacation, I bring Roll for it. It's a dice game. If you pair it with the other set, you can play more. You can have more players, and it's 2 to 4 players. You're trying to match the faces of the dice on the cards, and you're trying to get points for it. Yeah. Very simple concept, but the thing is you're having to. You kind of have to press your luck a little bit, because you have to risk putting a die on a card so that you can build up to get those points.
Right.
It's super simple. My kids love it. I never leave home without it.
Yeah, it's a good one for, I think, people who aren't very like Tinder Blocks. If you're not into as much like board games and things, it's a really good one to kind of get people started. I will bring out. I'm just going to argue this is my favorite one of all time, because I keep always saying that, and it's hard not to. This is Deep Sea Adventure by Oink Games, and
it's so good.
It is so good. There is a bigger version now of this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a bigger box. I think Oink Games is kind of known for their little small, put it in your pocket box games, and I think they made like a bigger version of it. There is also, I believe, an expansion now for this, but this plays 2 to 6. Tinder Blocks also played 2 to 6, and the basic concept of this game is, you are all divers going undersea to collect treasure. However, once people start picking up treasure, you start losing air. And so everyone has to get back to the ship before you run out of air. And it becomes a press your luck game, because for every piece of treasure you have, you're basically rolling two D3s to move. And for every piece of treasure you have, you take -1 on your dice. So if you roll a 2 and you're holding 2 pieces of treasure, you don't get to move, but you're still taking air away. So it's very, very fun. I've taught it to quite a few people, and every time I teach this game, people are like, this is really, like, it's very simple, but it's super fun, and it's very tricky and hard, and I think if you have people who like easy board games, this is good. But if you want a board game that will surprise you at how challenging it actually is with the pressure luck, this is a really good one. And one, again, you can take pretty quickly and easy, like Tender Blocks, put in your pocket and go kind of to a family thing.
This is one that, if you have anyone who likes fantasy themed types of games, so Dragonwood is a strange. I would say it's it's a fantasy themed game, but it's more of a card game that similar to Rummy. So you're trying to get specific kinds of things like it's like three of a kind, four of a kind, or like a run, and but you also have a very D&D type mechanic where you're trying to beat monsters
Right.
at the same time. So take Dungeons and Dragons and Rummy and go.
Such a weird combo, but it works.
And it's a lot of fun. My kids had a lot of fun playing it, and it's great.
And then for my last one I'm going to take for families, we're going to talk about, we don't review many board games on this channel, but this is my board game of the year, if I had to pick one. So this is Flamecraft, which is 1 to 5 players. If you love the art, if it's enough to sell you on that, but this is a really, really cutesy kind of fun game where the entire idea is you're placing out dragons at these shops that are in town to help gather resources, to then put enchantments on this shop to gain victory points. So it is a victory point based game. However, it is pretty simple to understand. I think once you play a round or two, it's pretty easy to understand, and it's very much like, I think a game, like, it says 10 and up. I think if you've got a kid who kind of can grasp the basic rules, like, maybe not do all the finicky parts of it, but it's mostly a pretty easy game to kind of pick up and play. And I think if you're looking for something, again, that's more family oriented, that has the ability for you to, like, play with everyone at the table, this is just a really good one to, like, kind of have, one, not a really gruesome sort of, like, a lot of the co-op games are like co-op dungeon crawlers, stuff like that, where we see mostly like family games. Like, this is just a little fun, like, hey, we'll try to get the most points, but like doing it a cutesy way without me having to like kill your villagers or something like that style.
Yeah.
So very good one. And then I brought 2 that I always pick for parties. So I have the one for adults and the one for kids. So the one for kids and the one I'm talking about is Super Fight by Skybound. Actually, these are both Skybound games. I totally forgot about it. The great company, make great games. Super Fight is a really interesting game. It is, if you've ever played like Cards Against Humanity sort of idea, where basically you each get a noun almost, or like a person, character, and then they get attributes. So it might be like Darth Vader on rocket powered roller skates wielding a shark on a chain versus a group of kindergartners who all have super strength and can multiply. Who would win in a fight? And you have to argue with everyone and see who would win in this fight. And then everyone as a group kind of gets together and decides. It's very good for kids. It has a couple of different expansions for it as well. There is like a more like 18 up version if you want to add some like fun little powers for a day. But the great thing about this one is you can play it with a huge group, which I really like, and it's super funny. It's good, like I said, for kids too, because it's always that thing as a kid when you're like, well, if Batman had a nunchuck, he would have won. Like, you know what I mean? So it is really kind of fun to kind of do that and like do it, have some fun with it. And then, though not necessarily 100% adult in the way it plays, Red Flags is one of my favorite party games of all time. It is, in my opinion, like the game that kind of made me go, I don't want Cards Against Humanity. I kind of want this instead. So the way Red Flags works is one person is the person you're trying to set up on a date, and you have 2 really great attributes and one really, really bad attribute for that person. So it might be something like they own an island in the Bahamas and they love to make cookies, but they're racist. Like, you know, like it's like really, like that's a weird, like bad example, maybe, but like
makes sense.
Yeah, or like they might say something like they're constantly just plotting to kill you, and like you have to try and convince that person that you can look past the bad stuff because this good stuff is really great. It does have like a 18 up edition of it, and this one is a little bit. It's not super sexual. There is some like sexual things in here, but it's not very dark, so you can play with maybe older kids. But this one is just a lot of fun, and I think if you're looking for like a fun, silly one, like I played this one with my family a couple of years ago, and they had a hoot playing it. Like my parents thought it was an absolute blast. So that's it really for party games, and then we're gonna go and do some RPG recommendations for the holidays. And Adam, why don't you start us out?
My recommendation is one that I haven't gotten to play yet, but I've read the entire book. I like it a lot.
Looked at a bunch of quick starts for it.
Yeah, I looked at the quick starts for it. So, Root. So, if you are, familiar with the Root board game, it has some similar themes, and of course, the artwork is the same. But this is a really simple dice mechanic game. It's D6s.
Yeah.
And it's really simple. You can play this with kids. It's got all the there's like an adventure in the back, and it's just got so much stuff in it.
Yeah.
You could be playing this in a couple of minutes. If you've got a mixed group of adults and kids, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one because I think it does well where it can be as more like kid friendly as you want it to be, or more oriented towards adults with kind of like the action and combat and the politicalness of it. But like, yeah, it fits like kind of that big combo of them. So yeah, I think it's a really good one. So my two are choices that we will put links to down below. One of them, and they're both on itch. You can find them, or the other one, this combo one, as my second answer, is actually, I believe, on DM's Guild and Drive-Thru. But the first one is Trouble at Santa's Workshop, which is built for kids. Like, it's actually made for, like, kids under the age of 5. So it's a custom built game where basically you're rolling as many d6s as possible to try and get successes. It's super cutesy. You basically roll a bunch of dice to determine what you are. Like, you can be an elf or a reindeer, what your superpower is. Your kids get to color the sheet and design their character. Like,
That's
it's
nice.
super fun, like cutesy kind of one that, like, really I liked that the system was built literally for the guy to play it with his young kids who wanted to play D&D but couldn't do it. And I think it's a really cute one. Again, we'll link it down in the comments, but it's a very like cutesy kind of fun one that lets your kids like imagination kind of go, which I think is really cool for it. And then the one that I'm going to mention is there's 2 combo adventures actually, and they're done by a guy who basically he made this game for his 3 to 5-year-olds to play, and it's 5th edition stripped down for kids. And then he made one for when these kids turned 6 years old, a more like advanced sort of version, but still stripped down version of the 5th edition D&D. And they're called A Yuletide Surprise and Christmas Starlight, and they actually combine into one small adventure together. And they're kind of like a holiday themed Yuletide one. Very cutesy, kind of fun little way to do it. I really liked how they made it. Again, not totally 5th edition rule set, but like taking that rule set that your kids see you play or maybe want to be a part of and make it easy. So like introduce your kids into a way to play role-playing games. And what I like too is, I mean, you could use that to keep playing with adventures and things like that. So I think those are really cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, for the holidays coming up, we know everyone's probably out visiting family or meeting with some friends that they've got in the area, holiday parties, or I mean, I might even take some of these to like a work party or something just for fun. But we hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any holiday themed games that your family plays during the holidays, or any specific like one shots or anything that you do during the holidays, you guys can put them down in the comments. But until next time, y'all take care.
Bye.